धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोत्रो धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सताम् वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैः ईश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात्. Herein, the highest religiosity uh, in which uh, fruitive intentions are completely rejected. Religiosity is sometimes covered by fruitive intentions. So that sort of religiosity is completely rejected. But the highest religiosity is presented here, and that is understandable by devotees who are 100% pure in heart. Herein, the substance uh, brings about well-being, and it causes the uprooting of the threefold miseries. The great sage Vyasadeva, having compiled the beautiful Bhagavata Purana, what is the need of other scriptures? Herein, uh, the Supreme Lord at once becomes compact within the heart uh, by uh, culture executed by pious men without delay, completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Purport. Religion includes four primary subjects, namely pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally, liberation from material bondage. So, religiosity refers to what is called dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Irreligious life is a barbarous condition. If we do not take part in religious life, then we are barbarians. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. The idea is that people who do not take up a religious system, they are not even human beings. Eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating are the four principles of animal life. These are common both to animals and to human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. Now, this statement of Prabhupada, this is from the Hitopadesha originally, um, very famous statement. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha samanyam pasubhih naranam dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pasubhih samana. Both animals and men share the activities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But the special property of the humans is that they are able to engage in spiritual life. Here actually refers to dharma, religiosity. Therefore, without dharma, humans are on the level of animals. Dharmena hina pashubhis samana. Without dharma, then they are equal to animals. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims at self-realization and which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. So, in human societies, which are regulated by some theistic moral concept of religiosity, then we always find that there is some concept of self-realization and some concept of God realization. In the lower stages of human civilization, there is always competition to lord it over the material nature, or in other words, there is a continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. Notice this rivalry. This rivalry is based on jealousy, and that is what is brought out here. Prabhupada is turning to the topic of nirmatsaranam. Nirmatsaranam. Matsara means envy. Nirmatsara means non-envious. In other words, those who are not competing with others. We'll understand the connection here. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. He thus performs pious activities or religious functions in order to gain something material. So he performs pious activities to gain something material. But if such material gains are obtainable in other ways, then so-called religion is neglected. But if he can directly get economic development, artha, he doesn't engage in pious activities. This is the situation in modern civilization. Therefore, nowadays people, they are not interested in pious activities, but they want economic development. They want wealth. They want artha. They want resources for sense enjoyment. Man is thriving economically, so at present he is not very interested in religion. Churches, mosques, or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas than in religious places which were erected by their forefathers. This practically proves that religion is performed for some economic gains. Okay, fine. So people, they perform pious activities primarily for economic development, economic gain. But why do you need economic gain? Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. They're needed for satisfying the senses. Often, when one is baffled in the pursuit of sense gratification, he takes to salvation, liberation from material bondage, and tries to become one with the Supreme Lord. So generally the concept of liberation is to become one with God. Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification. They are all selfish. I engage in pious activities so that I will have enhanced economic gain, with which I can have enhanced satisfaction of the senses. So this is selfish. And when I'm frustrated with this, then I'll go for the ultimate selfish pleasure, which is to become liberated from material miseries in order to become one with God. But these are all various features of Atma Priti. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. All of them are various features of attempts to satisfy oneself. Atma Priti, selfishness. Whereas beyond these four, there is Krishna Priti, Krishna Prema. Krishna Priti means Krishna's pleasure. Atma Priti means one's own pleasure. At the lowest most stage, you have people who are seeking Kama, sense enjoyment. Some others, they want Kama and Artha. But civilized human life begins with Kama and Artha and Dharma. Because only when you have these three together, then you can say to be a human being. Because animals are also seeking Kama and Artha. But human beings are seeking Dharma, Artha, Kama. But then, when you understand that even Dharma, Artha, Kama leads to misery, then you seek Moksha. But even Moksha is desiring one's own relief from material miseries, which is just another type of selfishness. In Krishna Priti, one is seeking Krishna's happiness, not in one's own happiness. So this is entirely a different way of thinking altogether. It is a different dimension of existence. So, Prabhupada writes, Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification. In the Vedas, the above mentioned four activities are prescribed in the regulative way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. These four activities have been prescribed in a regulated manner. That means uh, there is a space for religiosity, there is a space for making money, there is a space for sense enjoyment, and there is some time devoted for liberation. This is Vedic civilization built upon Vedic culture from India. So it is prescribed in such a manner that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. Competition for sense gratification in this material world amongst conditioned souls cannot be eradicated completely, but it can be regulated. And therefore, Prabhupada writes, there will not be any undue competition. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. But Srimad Bhagavatam is not even dealing with this. It doesn't even deal with Kama, Artha, Dharma, Moksha. It doesn't even deal with that. It is transcendental to these. It is beyond these. It deals with Krishna Priti, not Atma Priti. It deals with how to make Krishna happy. It is purely transcendental literature which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. It can only be understood by pure devotees of the Lord. Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam. Not just Satam Vedyam. It is not that it can simply be understood by the Vaishnavas. It can only be understood by the devotees who are 100% pure in heart, who are absolutely beyond this. This is, of course, the state of Krishna Prema. When one attains Krishna Prema, then there are absolutely no unearths in his heart at all. Anya Nindadi Shunya Hridam, as Rupa Goswami mentions in Nectar of Instruction, that these are perfect pure devotees. They have already become perfect. In the material world, there is keen competition between animal and animal, man and man, community and community, nation and nation. But the devotees of the Lord rise above such competitions. So the devotees whom we are talking of here are the perfect pure devotees who are 100% pure in heart. They have already moved. This can secondarily also refer to those who are progressing and who are becoming 100% pure. They do not compete with the materialists because they are on the path back to Godhead where life is eternal and blissful. Why don't they compete with the materialists? Just because they are trying to go back to Godhead? Because they are trying to attain a superior, real, permanent abode. And the materialists, they are on a different track altogether. They are in fact moving in the opposite direction. Their intelligence and the intelligence of the devotees are moving in the opposite directions. Look at this, Bhagavad Gita 2.69. Yanisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. What is night for all living entities, for all of living entities? In that night is the self-controlled, is wakeful. And in which uh, all beings are awake. That is night for the introspective sage. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. So their paradigms are different, their values are different, and therefore they don't find any reason to compete with the materialists because they are trying to get something else. What do these devotees want? They also want something. What do they want? We'll look at that.